this brings us to the second question of how to pray to Kali and what defines the path of Tantra. So Tantra is actually the first of the paradigms of spiritual development within the Hindu religion. Later they also created the Bardo path, but the Tantric path was the first path. So the basic premise in Hindu cosmology is that we exist on a certain level, and other beings which are higher than us, gods, goddesses, exist on higher levels of being. And we should try to use the opportunity we have as a living being to try to move up to a higher level. And there are various things which can help us and hinder us in our transition. So the hindrances are often seen as the traps of Maya. So our habits, our addictions, the things we are unconscious of, the things we do in a very poor fashion, and also the powers which really relate with lower beings, which more demonic powers. So often stealing, killing, lying are things which are more natural to lower beings. And if we want to evolve into higher beings, we should stop feeding these lower impulses and start feeding our higher impulses. So it is basically, they see us as a ball of energy, and we in a way are swapping out. We're constantly taking in new energies, building new energies, and losing old energies. And by following a system of which builds up the higher parts of the energy body and in a way make sure that we don't nourish or grow the lower parts of our energy body is slowly becoming more and more light, and we start moving up. So this is very much the path of karma which we are following. And the first idea was that as there is kind of a gradient of energies, so everything has a lower aspect and a higher aspect. So there is a truth, but there's also a higher truth, a Maha truth. And there is like virtue and there's Maha virtue, there's higher virtues. And in the same way, so everything which is on a very high level has manifestations on lower levels. And so everything can be seen as a ladder. So if I take, for instance, love or truth, the love or the truth I can find or manifest in this world is imperfect, but it is one step on the ladder which can lead me to that truth or that love on a higher level of awareness. And the art of Tantra is to try to distill this higher energy, to find this higher energy which is there even within the physical manifestation. So every love has like a tiny spark of divine love in it. Every bit of knowledge has a tiny spark of divine knowledge in it. And how to, in a way, separate the illusion from the divine. And in the West we have, of course, the process of alchemy, where we try to, in a way, remove the lower energies. It's also the basis of homeopathic medicine. We also try to remove the gross and lower energies, so you're left with the higher, the purest energies, which are beneficial and healing to us. This is the essence of the path of Tantra, to find the higher, the divine, in everything which exists here. But the path of Tantra also has some strictures or some problems. Because the path of Tantra requires us to really go all the way into something. So it is not okay to experience things on a very simple, low, unconscious level, on a tamas level. Like, okay, I'm sitting here in my chair and my wife comes and gives me a kiss on the forehead and says, bye hon, and she moves over and I say, bye hon. This is not Tantra. Because my spirit is still in this tamas level, it's in an inactive level, it's not even curious about what is going on. So the path of Tantra is very much also about increasing the vibration of your spirit, of moving your spirit from its tamas level into rajas and even into sattvic levels. So, if I take the same example, if I want to experience it and my wife comes and gives me a kiss, I shouldn't just accept it as a tamas person would do. I have to explore it with my rajas. I have to feel it, I have to be aware, like, okay, how are her lips moving? What is going on with my skin? How is this dance of Kali trying to awaken my spirit, trying to arouse my life force, helping me to have the power to change, to go more deeper? And what are the lower aspects of the kiss? Is there like, maybe also a tamas side in her, well, I always kiss him. It's kind of a ritual, it's kind of a habit. Or is there also something more active? Is it maybe a part of Kali which is trying to entice me? Is it trying to awaken me? So try to find, in a way, the goddess in the world. The goddess in everything, in every flower, in every drop of rain, in every tree, in every person you meet. This is very much the path of Tantra, to be continuously curious about God. And in a way, to, out of your curiosity, also to continuously seek the divine in the world. And once we move into this, we start to move our spirit from a tamas state into a rajas state, where it is continuously looking for its companion, its lover. It's continuously stimulated. And so it's very much the art of allowing the physical world around you to stimulate your spirit, to move your spirit, to use everything which happens to you for spiritual development. And this is also a very different aspect from the Christian aspect. So they don't view our world, even though it is illusion and even though we're trapped in it, they don't see it at all as a prison or as something which needs to be escaped from. They see it as a manifestation of love, as a manifestation of the divine, as basically the world is not evil or bad, it is a good thing. And it is here to help us, to make our spirit grow, to awaken us, and to move us into higher levels of awareness. But to do so, we have to, in a way, get rid of some of our really tamas powers, our lower energies. Because if we're stimulated, if our life force is stimulated, all parts of our being are stimulated. It is not just a stimulation on one level, it's usually a stimulation on all levels. And there are tantric exercises to more specifically focus on a certain energy, and also certain places in the body which you can touch to stimulate the specific tantric energy. But the more important thing is that you strive continuously towards that purity. And the tantric path, in a way, says that looking for purity, looking for the divine is a continuous process, but also a process which has to be at a certain level to do it safely. Because if your consciousness is still very low, is still in a very subhuman, in a kind of a demonic state, and a lot of life force is given to it, then the dominant element in you, which can be a demonic element, is also given a lot of power. That is really awakened, and a Raja's spirit is curious, it wants to experiment, it wants to manifest itself. And if we are very demonic in nature, then also this demonic being is awakened and will want to manifest itself, and it will start hurting and killing and doing all kinds of horrible things to the people around us. It might start raping and committing all kinds of sins. So basically, to follow the tantric path requires also a certain measure of purity and or discipline. So what is advised is that before we move into Tantra, we should, at least on the subject with which we want to work on a tantric level, we should have achieved a state of detachment, and we should be able to maintain a meditative focus. So while we are active, while we are smelling, tasting, listening, feeling, and we are being in love and enjoying this feeling, another part of us should be able to detach itself, to feel what is going on, to notice what is going on, to guide the rest of our being. So part of our being needs to be aware and stable, and so that all the other parts can be guided by it. So we need to have a kind of a breakthrough already into a higher level, so that the part which is higher can guide the parts which is lower in our being. And also the energies of these lower parts, they need to be free. So we need to be free of like the heaviest karmic bonds and the grossest habits which limit us in our movement. Because ultimately we need to be able to experiment and not be stuck in our or society's patterns or our own patterns, to be able to start to explore. So these are some preconditions to be able to follow the path of Tantra. The path which was developed later, I'll just mention it at the moment. It's called the Bardo path, and the reason the Bardo path was developed a bit later is that people found the tantric path rather difficult to follow. This great holy man or a saint noticed that people were looking for enlightenment, and at a certain stage they felt they got stuck, they couldn't move any further with their basic practices, and then they started to use Tantra, but they were not yet detached enough, so when they awakened these energies, they got swallowed up again and sucked down again by their heavy energies, by their inner demons, by their addictions, by their attachments. And he noticed that for many people this was like they are moving up to a certain point when they can move into Tantra, and then the Tantra path sucks them down again. But there was also no other way for them to evolve. So he said, for the people who are in a way unable, or for whom the tantric path is too dangerous because of their karma, it is good to create a second path, the path of the Bardo. The Bardo is the path of, in a way, disintegration, of death. So you can compare it, if you look at Western philosophy, the libido and the thanatos. So the libido is the explosive force, the life force which wants to manifest, which wants to play, which wants to spread itself outward. And the thanatos is the death force, which is in a way imploding, focusing, creating depressions, focusing in on yourself. So it's not a very good comparison, but it's what we have in the West. And this Thanatic Bardo path is about, in a way, dying consciously, dying while you're alive, and going to this process where you realize that your spirit is separate from everything, and that your spirit is not actually involved in anything of the body, not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your karma even. And by separating yourself from all these patterns, from all these habits, from all these lower energies, you can also make progression, and this progression can also go all the way up into enlightenment. So these are the two alternatives we have. You might say also that the tantric path is in a way a bit more lively, feminine, active path, while the Bardo path is a bit more philosophical, masculine, about knowledge and analysis. So, I hope that answers the question of what defines the path of Tantra. So who walks it? Well, there we get into an interesting issue, namely the whole issue we have also in the West with esoteric and esoteric knowledge. Exoteric knowledge, because exoteric knowledge is knowledge which is for the general people, which is outside, and the esoteric knowledge is for like the initiates within the religion. It's hidden knowledge. And the same we find actually also with Tantrism. Tantrism is an esoterical path. It's not meant to be for everybody. Because like you have in Western religion, you have your 10 commandments and you have your virtues, and they try to teach people how to live a good life, and by living a good life improve their karma, and by having an improved karma they will take a better incarnation, and they will keep improving their incarnations until they are ready to go more in depth with their spiritual work, and they have more of a healthy foundation for their spiritual advancement. And we find the same thing back in Hinduism. So there's lots of do's and don'ts, and building of discipline, of self-control, which are necessary for a person to be able to start guiding their lives. Because if you don't have a good karma, if you are still trapped or pulled along by your old patterns too much, there is no freedom. You cannot choose. You don't have the power, you don't have the insight, because these other sins and patterns are overpowering you all the time. So first you need a process of purification and a process of discipline, of shaping your will, stabilizing your will, stabilizing the energy body. And once this is done, then basically you can move from the exoterical part of the religion to the esoterical part of the religion. And Tantra belongs to this. And this is also one of the main problems, that many people who are unready for it, they should still be in the exoterical path, just learning to stop creating bad karma first, and then only start to amplify their power. Because this is also what often the esoterical path is about. It's about how to amplify the energy, so that what you do can have more effect. But before you start amplifying, you need to make sure that what you do has a positive effect on your spirit rather than a negative effect on your spirit. So in the yoga, this is basically also the stage of the pranayama, where you start in a way really working with your energy, amplifying the energy of your body, whereby all your experiences can become transformative experiences. So if you would ask, like, for whom is Tantra suitable, I would say for people who are ready to really work with pranayama. Prana, life force, and yama are in a way the laws, or how to work with this force. And this is also what the Tantra is about, learning how to work with these waves of energy and these currents of energy. And in the yoga we learn how to do this by focusing our attention on our breathing, on our heart, also directly on our nadis, on our energy flows. And if we are able to do pranayama well, and we go into a tantric experience, we can also observe, like, okay, how is my masculine energy moving? How is my feminine energy moving? Which chakras are opening? Which chakras are closing? What are the lower elements which are active? Which are the higher elements of my energy body which are active? So you can, in the experience, also experiment and play with it. You can allow your inner demon to manifest itself in the game. So it becomes obvious, it becomes manifest, and you can work with it, you can play with it together. And this is also something important about the Tantra. So there is no right or wrong, there is no judgment, there is no, like, this is good or bad, because it is all a manifestation of the sublime being. Even the demonic parts of our being is a part of the dance of Kali. And everything in itself was manifested down and can also go up. So even our lowest parts, our sadistic parts, our depraved parts, our perverted parts, are in a way things which should be transformed, should be worked with, should be guided into higher levels, because what is a perversion now may in a few lives turn into art, or even turn into love or brotherhood or idealism. And this is very important, that it is Tantra is a very non-judgmental discipline. So there's an awareness, there's a guidance, but there is no judgment, because at the moment there is judgment, then you close yourself, then you say like, I don't want this, or this is unacceptable, or this is bad. And at the moment you close yourself, you're in a way making an affront towards Kali and Shiva, because you're saying like, this part of Shiva, this part of the sublime being, I don't want it. It's a demonic part, or this manifestation of like a disease. It's horrible, get it away, but also even a disease is part of the dance of Kali, it's part of the body of Kali. And everything should have its place. And it is through the power of Tantra that we can guide things to the proper place, so that we can work to bring everything to a sattvic level. This is also why Tantra is very strongly linked to magic. And this is also why the practitioners of Tantra in India are often feared as being powerful magicians. And in a way it's a good thing that people don't realize that also tantric magic, while very powerful, is also very limited. Because the essence of tantric magic is to strengthen energies, to create a transformation of lower energy into higher energy, and to work towards a balance of energy, to work towards a harmony. So even though the tantric magic can be very strong, very powerful, have very profound effects, there is always a direction to the effect. It always moves in the same way, along the path of Tantra, along the path of Kali. So in a way there's not so much to be afraid of, but people without power often feel very suspicious of people with power. And I think a lot of the negative sentiments about Tantra come from this. Also, in the West we also have a tantric tradition. Aleister Crowley started in the 20th century to work also with sexual magic. As you may know, Aleister Crowley was also a practitioner of yoga and very knowledgeable also on not just on Western mysticism, but also on Oriental mysticism. And he basically states the same thing. You need to be a practitioner of yoga and a very capable practitioner of yoga before you start working with sexual magic. And the working with sexual magic is about finding the will, like as he said, the highest law is do what thou wilt. And so this is finding the path of your spirit, the will of your spirit, so moving your spirit from the tamas state into a rajas state, where the spirit is free, it is active, it can act out its will, it can guide you through life, and it can guide its own growth into a higher consciousness. And once this state is achieved, you have to allow it to work. And this is why he said this is also the entirety of the law. You have to stop thinking in black and white, in good and bad, in positive and negative, and really work with it. And the way he worked also with the sexual energy was also by, he named it in yeah, basically 3 elements. The beast, which is basically the masculine, which is raw power. But the power in itself is stupid. It has no guidance, it has no direction. And it has to be seduced, like the dance of Kali. And the 2 seducing powers are the feminine energies, the Virgo Alba and the Femina Rubra. So the white woman, the white maiden, the white virgin, and the red woman. The red woman is the power of passion, so you could say the Rajas energy, the one who creates the manifestation, who creates the movement. And the Virgo Alba, the white virgin, is the power of Sattva, the purity, in a way the divine purity which cannot be reached but was always be sought after, which was always be worshipped, but never to be pulled down. It is not about, in a way, pulling the feminine, the divine feminine towards yourself, but rather using it as a lighthouse, as a beacon, to move yourself in the direction of the divine feminine, of the manifestation of the sattvic spirit, of the completely harmonious, all-encompassing spirit. So the Sophia again. So this is also part of the tradition of Aleister Crowley, and which he tried to pass on in the Golden Dawn school of esoterical development. Of course, the West wasn't very ready for it, especially the exoterical people felt he was very evil, demonic, devilish, most evil person alive, he was called. But so it goes.